Hello, my name is Owen Guthrie. I'm one of the instructional designers here at UAF eLearning and Distance Education. Every semester, UAF eLearning hosts 4 Teaching Tips Live. This second talk, Google Apps, Making Them Work for You, will be given by our very own Learning Design Coordinator, Heidi Olson. We also have the benefit of having Desiree Simmons, Assistant Professor of Development Ed, and Shelley Bauman, eLearning's very own Faculty Services Coordinator. For those of you viewing the stream live, there is a facility for you to post questions. You can use the Q&A feature on the side and post your questions. Sometimes it takes 30 seconds to a minute for the questions to appear on our end. So be patient and we'll get to them as quickly as we can. So please do ask questions. We look forward to them. And now, here's Heidi Olson.
Great. Thanks, Owen. And really thank you, Desiree and Shelley, for joining me in this conversation. And then, of course, thank you, the viewers. And we really do encourage your participation, so please ask questions and make comments as we run through this presentation. So what are Google Add-ons? So I think the best way to think about add-ons is to actually go ahead and watch a YouTube that Google put out explaining what they are. So let's go to that. So let's go to that.
Google Docs and Sheets do all sorts of awesome stuff, but sometimes you need to do a little more. Add-ons are new tools created by our developer partners that literally add on capabilities to your documents and spreadsheets. To start, open a document or spreadsheet and click on Get Add-ons in the menu bar. Browse through the store, then choose the add-on you'd like to install. And just like that, the add-on will be available to use right away. There are add-ons for everyone, but here are a few that you may find handy. With Avery Label Merge, you can easily set up and print address labels and name tags in Docs by pulling in data from Sheets. Simply pop in your column headers, merge, and it's time to print. With the EasyBib add-on, you can automatically cite sources by searching for book titles, journal article names, or websites right inside your document. You can format these sources in MLA, APA, and Chicago style, then automatically insert them into your document. Or, say you want to create a personalized email invitation to an upcoming event. With Merge by MailChimp, you can add custom info to your document by pulling it in from a spreadsheet. Preview your email, and when you're ready, hit send. Need to get sign-off on a document or spreadsheet? With Letterfeed Workflows, you can add the email addresses of reviewers in the sidebar, request approval, and then easily see when your document has been signed off, all without leaving Docs or Sheets. These are just some of the add-ons available today, with lots more on the way.
Great. Did that come over okay?
Super. It was great.
Great. So you got a little brief outlook there of what Google Add-ons are, and that's, you didn't need to see that. So let's
Google Docs and Sheets do all.
See that again. Let's go to presentation here. We got set up. So Google Docs and Google Sheets have the capacity to have these add-ons, which actually add functionality. They're optional for the user, and you don't have to leave Google Docs or Google Sheets to be able to use them. They're added functionality, so you can do your business and take advantage of the add-ons right within Google Docs or Google Sheets. And they're relatively new. They came out in about March of this year, so throughout this year, new add-ons are being developed and added as they become available. So in documents, there are different categories of add-ons that are available. There's add-ons for business to help with business activities. There's like a secure signature. In education, there's Kaizena, which is a feedback add-on. We're going to see a little bit later. EasyBib with the help with the bibliography. There's calculators for helping with productivity. Avery label templates, which can be really handy if you need to create some labels. In the social and communication, there's a Twitter curator, which actually helps you capture tweets based on a hashtag. So if you're looking up something specific and just want to limit your Twitter searches, you can use the Twitter curator. And then there's utilities for, or there's add-ons for utilities like creating short URLs or and math and graphing capabilities. And in Sheets, there's a subset of different add-ons that you could use specifically with Sheets. QR code generator, so you can quickly create QR codes if you want to do some augmented reality. We're going to look at a product called Super Quiz to help auto-grade some form responses on a quiz. And then we're also going to be looking at how to make Google Sheets more productive with splitting names, inserting delete, some advanced find and replace features. So there's a lot of different add-ons, and they're all independently created and offered as supplements to Google add-ons and Google Sheets. So if you have something that you saw in that list that you're interested in, I really encourage you to put that in the chat button, in the chat, so that we may be able to get a chance to look at that during this session. So there's many options, and of course we want to concentrate on good options for teaching and learning. And one of those is going to be demonstrated by Desiree, and it's an example of how she helps build her writing community. So Desiree, it's all yours.
I unmuted. Hi, Heidi.
Hi.
Can you see me okay?
Yeah, we're looking at your Hangout.
Okay. You can go to a shot of me. I'm okay with that.
So we're not seeing your drive. There we go.
Okay, that's my, where's my, there we are. And that's Janine. Hi, like Heidi said, my name is Desiree Simons, and I'm from the University of Alaska at Fairbanks. And there are so many tools out there for teaching and learning, like Heidi said. So we look for tools, especially in writing, which is what I concentrate on, reading and writing. We look for tools that are easily accessible for our students, that are user-friendly, and also tools that are relevant to the goals that we're trying to accomplish in our classrooms. And, you know, writers have a really tough time sometimes, especially in the early stages, with looking at how their writing's going to turn out and what we're going to say about it at whatever stage we're in. And so Kaizena, one of Google's add-on tools, is the one I find myself using most in the early stages of writing for our students. And so let's go take a look at Kaizena. Yikes, not that. All right, so here's my drive. In Kaizena, you'll be using your regular documents that come out of Google Drive.
I'm on the YouTube window.
And you're not getting it?
We'll see my screen in a minute.
Okay.
Now we got it. Okay.
So a question came in from one of our viewers as to asking questions. I just want to let you folks know that we are watching the Q&A feed, and please ask your questions as soon as you're able. We'd love to hear them.
Here is my general drive, and your documents will come right out of here, which is great because Google is such a friendly environment for doing things like add-ons with Kaizena that help with feedback and collaboration. So here's one of my students' documents that is untouched, and you can see the paragraphs are here. I shortened it up so it's not so much information. And here's what we can do with Kaizena. So you go to add-ons. I already added Kaizena, and you want to open the document with Kaizena, and then you get this nifty toolbar on the side that gives you a bunch of options. Here it is right over here. And what these options do is allow you to give feedback in a bunch of different ways. But of course, you don't want to overload students with information because, again, like I said, the goal is to make it really relevant to the kind of writing that you're doing in your room. And having sections for different kinds of feedback is really important, and having ways where you can sort of have fun by tagging it is also kind of fun. So it's a little slow here, sorry. But I actually loaded up windows, so you could take a different kind of windows in case it took a little while to load so you can see it. So one of the areas is written feedback. You can have a student and you can highlight different sections to show your student sort of verbally written in a written way. If the student is a learner who likes to see things written instead of hearing them. And you can highlight certain areas that I've given sort of scores. So this highlighted area right here that I'm running my mouse over says, do you see the glass is half full or empty? And I want to tell that student, that's a really nice technique to have for you to open up your essay with a question. So right over here in the area, I gave it a tag that has technique. I gave it a score of 4, and I can actually add more feedback. But it tells you, of course, Kaizena says you have to highlight it first. So I'm just going to highlight something random like, hey, that's a great word, and add feedback. And it has 4 or 5 different colors. You can see it up here. And so optimism, I want to give that skill, I want to call that, look, I'm adding more labels to it so I can tell them it's really great. Now I want to call that skill something, so I want to call it vocabulary usage. Did I spell that word right? And it's a great word, so I'm going to give it, and there you go. And you can see my name shows up down here, and when I finish with this document, I can actually email it to the student so he can see where I highlighted things that I thought were particularly good. So like I said, doing feedback is really, really good, and when you send it to the student, of course, that opens up the collaboration area of it. So now let's look at another feature of Kaizena, the verbal part of it. So again, I loaded it as an add-on. I went in here and did that already. And so here you can see green and blue. Those are just some random colors I chose. You can choose any color you like. And for a student who wants to hear someone's voice and sort of have that kind of interaction, this is a great part of Kaizena and Google Add-ons. So I'm going to I added it already. I'm going to press on this part and then you can hear my voice.
Starting off your essay with a question is a really good technique.
I really love that you can do that. So then when you go back, you have to go use this button that says back to all feedback. So here's the word applied. So if you look down in the essay, you can see where I highlighted apply. And I'm having trouble with this student's use of tenses. So if you click on Applied, I tag the skill, and I don't just want to tell the student that it's a problem. I want to give the student some solutions, and Kaizena lets me do that by tagging it with a resource, an internet resource. So I tagged it with Purdue OWL, and you can see right here in the box, if you click on it, which I'm not going to do, it will send you right to the web page that you can take a look at what the concern might be in that part of the writing. So it's pretty great. So let's go back again, back to all feedback. And here I highlight this part up here, and here's what I told that student for feedback.
You listed a few items here, Justin, 4 of them actually, and I'm thinking in the body of your essay you are going to expand on these 4 items that you listed.
So I told him, I'm hoping this is what he does. Of course, we can't check that right now, but this student did do that, which is great. And
Desiree?
yes.
Can I drop in with a question? I have
Yes.
a question from a viewer, and she says, if I wanted to use this tool with students, so would they have to install the add-on?
Okay. Can you see me now?
No, we still see your desktop. Now we see you. And Janine.
What was the question?
The question is, if you want to use this tool with your students, would they have to install the add-on on their end?
Yes, so like I said in the first part of the presentation, if you go into Google, it's a very friendly environment, and you load up your document first and then add on Kaizena, and it's a free add-on, and and that's how you set that whole thing up. So students can just add it on through Google, the environment of Google+, and then you can talk to them through the document.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, so like I said, though Kaizena has its great uses, it also has a few things that you want to be careful of. You want to be careful that when you open up a document, right away you save it with a completely different name in case you really screw up the document. You don't want to have that document sort of sitting there with all these mistakes on it. So make sure you do that. And you know, it's good as a teacher. It's good to make sure these tools have goals, and Kaizena is really great for doing that.
Excellent. Excellent. That is great.
I have one more viewer question that just came in. The viewer says that they came in a little bit late, but says, I'm wondering what the cost is for this and other Google add-ons.
For this particular tool, Kaizena, it's completely free. It's very simple, and there are so many tools out there that you can pay for, and that, you know, some of them students get a discount. Later on in the presentation, we'll see another one that has, you know, a free version and then an advanced version that you pay for. But Kaizena is free, and yeah.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great. Thank you, Desiree. That was good. I can see multiple great uses for that kind of add-on. So I'm going to talk about another type of way to give feedback, and it is a more synchronous type, and it is using an add-on called Uber Conference. So here I have my document, and I have pulled up my add-on for Uber Conference, and basically it's giving me a phone number with a PIN number, and if I'm going over this essay with a student, I can give that phone and PIN number to the student. I can, you know, just invite them to join me in an audio conference type conversation using Uber Conference. This is one of those applications that actually has a paid application subscription service, like Desiree was mentioning, And if I wanted to pay for a service, I could actually get a toll-free number and have a consistent number and use that for many different classes or different business situations or whatever. So with Uber Conference, there is the scaffolding sort of subscription fee. The CTC Writing Center, Jennifer Tilbury is using Uber Conference in their writing tutorials, so it's been very efficient and effective for them to be able to see the document and then also be able to talk about things that they might want to improve through the Writing Center. So that's a pretty handy add-on. I also want to talk about another way of giving feedback, and I mentioned this earlier in the program. It's using auto-graded form responses. So here you see a form that is asking about sustainability, and this was a form created in Google Forms. And it might be used if, say, maybe you have a flipped classroom, and in the previous session, you had your students reading or watching videos about sustainability. They come into class, and maybe you want them to take a little quiz before you start, or maybe you want them to take this before they come to class, so you can kind of see how they're doing and retaining information. So with Google Forms, you have a backside, which is in the form of a spreadsheet, and that collects all of the answers. So this is an example of the sustainability quiz backside, the Google Sheet. And I have already run the add-on of Super Quiz because it puts in all of these little markers, all of these different tabs, and it takes a little while to load them up. So I went ahead and pre-populated that quiz or the spreadsheet with the add-on. Here's another example. This is just a short little quiz here, 3 questions. And then, once again, here's the back side, and this is actually has collected some information from students. So I ran the add-on, I went up to add-on, Super Quiz, main menu, and like I said, it takes a little bit to run it, so I did that ahead of time. But this is why this is so awesome. Pre-built into this add-on is this variety of tabs that I mentioned. So I can go to the right or wrong, and I can get a visual to see what students, what their percentage was, and then the answers that they got incorrectly. I can see class results. So if I had different sections, or if there were 2 teachers perhaps teaching the same content using the same quiz, I could see by teacher what the students were doing. Incorrect students, I can see that I have two students who got the third question incorrectly. So maybe the question needs to be looked at, or maybe we really need to go back over that material. So, you know, that can be easily done in a regular spreadsheet, but this is where Super Quiz really comes in is Super Quiz. You know, it's super awesome. It's in this auto feedback configuration. And this was all, you know, pre-programmed by the developer, and you can just go in and customize all the fields. So under topic 1, I have named the topic selecting a healthy dinner choice, and the question was whether ice cream or a salad would be a better healthy dinner choice. And the second question was selecting proteins from a list. And then the third question was about how many glasses of water should you drink a day as a recommendation. Then the feedback aspect of it is if I get the question wrong, what do I want the students to think about again? And if they chose ice cream over a salad, then perhaps they need to go back and determine the nutritional value of ice cream and lettuce. So if they got it wrong, they need to spend a little bit more time looking over the material and thinking about the actual nutritional value. For my second topic, I have more specific feedback to give them, and then the same for my third topic. And often there might be 1 or 2 questions per topic. It wouldn't necessarily be 4 questions, 4 topics. And then if I wanted to kind of give them a follow-up question so that they could retest themselves, I could enter questions to think about. So on this next tab, it actually takes all the information and puts it into a message that you can then send by email. So for my first student, who's Pat, they got the first question right, and they got the second question incorrect, and the third question incorrect. So they actually are not really, they didn't do very well on the quiz. They're going to get an F. And that is listed also on this page. So it has your percentages and then your grade levels. And then here is where those reviewing topics come in. And this is all just auto-populated based on the score that they got. So Pat needs to kind of do some more homework and then follow-up questions. So then the same thing with Mel. This student actually did a little better. They only got 1 question wrong, so they have a C. So there's customized feedback for the student based on the generic feedback that I added to the auto feedback configuration, as well as how they did in the quiz. So what does that actually look like? On this slide, the document and email configuration, it's showing me that, so I've already created an email and actually sent it. But what it does is it sends that email through a Google created sheet. So when the student gets it, all they have to do is click on the document, and it gives them their feedback. Looks like I already trashed that. So they get this email, and it's an editable document, so they could actually answer the questions. And then I could, I can't type and talk at the same time. Then I could, as the instructor, go back and see what they've answered, and then have a conversation with the student. So there's a lot in the super quiz, and it takes some playing around. But I think, but once you set them up, I think it can be really handy for auto-correcting quizzes and forms and responses from students, and then giving them some custom feedback so that they can get on their way to doing better.
Heidi, I have a question that came in over the interwebs, and you notice we lost your second video feed there. So yeah, that's not a problem. It's nice to see you back again. What's the difference between Super Quiz and Flubaroo?
So Flubaroo is another add-on that self-grades quizzes, and it has a more generic feel to it, so you can't actually give custom feedback. You have the number incorrect, and you have some other statistical pages, but it doesn't go as far as a super quiz for giving that individualized feedback and that whole feedback loop. So, if that's not important to you, then maybe something like Flubaroo would be an easier application. As you can see, the super quiz was kind of complicated, and I think if you looked at the formulas behind all of the sheets, it took someone that knew how to do some scripting to come up with that. Good. Let's talk about productivity and using add-ons to kind of keep yourself organized. Shelley, I think you had a program you were going to show us.
I do. Thank you, Heidi and Owen, and all of you that have joined us today here at with Teaching Tips Live. I'm going to show you a nice free add-on for Google Docs called Table of Contents. This is not to be confused with the Google Docs own Table of Contents. So let me share my screen here.
We lost Shelley there for a moment. I'm sure she'll be right back. But I did have a question that came in over the interwebs, and it's from, since we get that mic muted. The question is, what's the advantage of using these add-ons for quizzes over using quizzes and custom feedback in Blackboard? Heidi?
Yeah, so it depends on, you know, what you're having your students do and what you're already using. If you're already using Blackboard, then, you know, keeping the quiz inside of Blackboard, because you can also give automatic feedback, and you know, you can get the statistics for a quiz right in there. I would use Blackboard. If you find yourself you know, not using Blackboard as a platform, and you're, you know, specifically if you're using more of the Google Drive to house your content and to interact with your students, then maybe keeping it all within Google Docs would be an advantage, in using the super quiz in that way.
Great, thank you very much. We have another question that came in. Is super quiz free for students?
Super quiz is free, so you know, it's meant for the teachers and anyone who's giving the feedback or correcting the form quiz. So the students actually aren't seeing any of that information except for the email and the shared doc that is generated from the feedback. But actually, you know, if you had an advanced student that was collecting feedback for surveys information, Super Quiz might be a great way to help kind of collect that information and give feedback. Of course, it has to be tied to a email address, so it wouldn't be something that would be anonymous.
Great, thanks very much. Okay, I see Shelley's back now, so
Yep.
We'll pick up with Shelley again. Thanks so much for making your way back here.
So, like I said before, we are going to check out the table of contents add-on feature, which can be found under Google Docs, under add-ons, table of contents, and you want to click it to show it in the sidebar. It's really the only option. So, and that's what's really convenient about it. If you use the Google Documents table of contents, it puts it at the top or wherever you tell it, wherever your cursor is when you click on Insert, Table of Contents, which is nice, but if you're, you know, all the way at the bottom of your document and you want to scroll, you want to go to a different section, then it's not quite as useful. So that's why this Table of Content add-on is really nice, because it keeps it to the right-hand side, and I can click on any section over here, and I highlighted some here so that you guys can see how easy it is to add the heading and add it to the table of contents by using styles. So this is your styles drop-down menu box. We're going to select heading 2, and it automatically formats it as well. And then over here in the table of contents sidebar, you're going to click the refresh button, which is this blue button here, and voila. So now if I wanted to, I could go back to the very top of the document for the breakfast delight, ta-da, and or I can keep going down and to a totally different section, and why is pork better than veggies. So it's a very, very simple add-on to use, and I highly recommend it for really long documents. This is a 13-page document, so we can go down here, we can type in conclusion, and put your cursor in that, call it heading 1, hit the refresh button over on the sidebar, and now we have our conclusion. So it allows you to navigate your document a lot easier than the Google Docs version of, where I just had to scroll a bunch to get up to where they have the table of contents is. So it's an easy one to use, and I highly recommend it.
Great. It looks like there's quite a bit of information there on pork, which I appreciate.
Yes.
Okay, I think we're back to Heidi now. Is that right, Heidi?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Owen. So another tool for productivity is something called EasyBib. EasyBib Bibliography Creator, and it helps you create a bibliography. So here I have my document, and it's not quite 13 pages, but it's used as a sample. And I've loaded the add-on called EasyBib, and it's going to help me create a bibliography. So I already have a book that I used for this paper, and I'm just going to paste that in, and I'm going to search for it. And this is the one that I was looking for. So it has created a little citation there. And as you can see, I have an option of MLA, APA, and it changes it for me, or I have Chicago style. I'm also going to add a website that I used for this paper, so I'm going to click on website, and I have the link right here. I'm just going to copy and paste that. Go back to EasyBib and my Google Doc and paste that in, and I'm going to search for it, and I select it. So now it has my 2 bibliographies set up right there, and I can choose my style. I'm with the School of Education, so I'm going to pick APA, and I am going to add it to my doc. And it thinks about it here a minute. And if I scroll down, then I have my references. So I know there is the, under tools, there's the research, and that helps you formulate citations and footnotes, but it doesn't create a bibliography for you. So this might be an add-on that you would use or have your students use to help format their bibliographies. And it's kind of interesting just to see the different styles and how, what each of the styles has seen as important and how what those differences are. So I wish it would have made this a clickable link. So I'm going to think about that, and I might add a comment on the developer's website about that. And just to point out, there is an EasyBib Pro for schools. So as a school or a school domain, you might want to check out Easy Pro. It could be that in the Pro version, it will actually make clickable links for you. I'm not sure. So I was just wondering, Desiree, as a writing instructor, what do you think of a tool like this?
As an instructor, I struggle with trying to get students to do things like do the work for themselves first, at least, before they use a lot of automated tools. But once you get that ability to format on your own down, I see absolutely no reason that you can't use a tool like that. I mean, it's great.
Excellent.
I'm going to cut in here too. Also, a couple questions came in right after the end of Shelley's session. She was talking about table of contents. And can you, Shelley, I have a couple of questions for you. Is it possible to generate a table of contents with page numbers? And secondly, is it possible to modify the heading styles? And then I'm going to go back to you, Heidi, with a question that came
in. Thank you, Owen. It is the Google Documents table of contents and the table of contents add-on. Both of those are only really meant for digital digital use only. It doesn't generate page numbers. It only creates links. I even tried printing it, and neither one of them, it just prints out links. So it's not very useful at the paper level, but on for e-learning purposes or digital purposes, it's perfect.
That's great.
As far as the other question, modifying headings.
Yes, that's the question.
And it's pretty easy and fast. One moment. Sure. And so you go to the headings, the styles, and then you see this arrow over here on the right-hand side next to the heading that you want to modify.
Yes.
This one is a grayed out heading. So I'm going to go ahead and click this arrow on the right, and then I'm going to say update heading to match or apply heading. Actually, I totally lied. You can reset the styles and things like that, but the best way is to go to paragraph styles and do it from here and do the modifying. So not quite as useful as I thought, and I apologize for that.
Great. Well, thanks for answering the question. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Okay, Heidi, back to you. Quick question. Does EasyBib store all of your sources across documents or for a single document only?
That is a good question. You know, I didn't test that out.
That question comes from our very own Kristen Buffard, who is likely to ask such a difficult question.
Yes, she is. Thank you, Kristen, for telling me. I'm thinking it is document specific. It could be that would be in the Pro version. So I don't know. That would be my guess, and I will certainly find out.
Okay, great. Thanks very much.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next, I'm not sure if you have anything more on EasyBib.
No, but I am interested in Desiree's comment about helping students organize, and I think that she's got a great add-on that she uses in her writing with her writing students for doing such a thing.
Okay, great. I see that it looks like she's having a little bit of trouble with her video feed at the moment. I'm going to see if that's going to come up for us or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the meantime, how about we look at another document add-on that is more for productivity, and it is called what is it called? It's called Workflows, and you all know that currently in a shared document we can make comments, and then other people can comment back on that, and we can sort of have a asynchronous collaborative experience making corrections and making suggestions to documents. At some point you want to say, okay, I think I made all the changes. I have either accepted or not accepted your comments. I'm ready to get this approved and get on the way. So what I can do, and I'm going to pick on Shelley here, is I am going to add her as a reviewer, and I'm going to say, hey Shelley, please approve. And I'm going to send that request. So what's happening then is an email gets sent to Shelley, and I've already shared this document with her, so I know that she has access to it. If I didn't, then when she opened it, she would ask for permission. So now Shelley can actually, if she wants to make comments, she can look at the document, and I can actually see when she looks at it. And she can send back her approval or disapproval and make any comments, and then we can either move on or continue on that draft and review process until we're ready to go.
Sorry, I'm opening workload right now. Here we go.
There we go. So one downside of this is that it doesn't retain the history. So actually once, if it has been approved and we're good to go. But if it has not been approved, it doesn't retain that history. So it sort of has to be at the moment when when you get your approval. So that would be another thing that I might ask the developer to kind of look at. So I can see that Shelley has looked at the document, and it looks like I am approved to go. I am ready to go. She approved it. I look good. Thank you, Shelley. And we can get on with things. So that is one add-on that might help with getting approval and that whole process without actually having to pass a piece of paper back.
Great, that's awesome. And I see Desiree is ready for her section. She's back with us and her video feed's working. So Desiree, I think Heidi had a question for you as well. I'll have you answer that.
Yeah, so you mentioned that EasyBib would be a great tool to introduce with students after they sort of have the understanding of how to create the bibliography for themselves. Mm-hmm. So I know that you're all for using tools in helping students get an understanding of whatever they're trying to do, and I know that you use a tool that kind of helps visually students think about organization and their writing.
Yeah, so the other tool I want to take a look at is a tool called MindMeister. And MindMeister is a tool that's sort of a visual map. So we all know we're different kind of learners, and some of us like verbal cues. This is a tool that specifically targets visual, dealing with visual ideas and visual organization. And let's go take a look at it. Okay. Here we go. This one? I'm going to go with my entire screen on this one. And it's gone. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
All right. So here's a very simple outline. You can see I've called it simple outline. And a student wrote the outline and sort of put down a bunch of ideas, main ideas, but you can see right here hasn't developed minor points yet. So a tool like MindMeister will take a look at this as an add-on. We'll take a look at this and turn it into a visual map, which is kind of awesome. And I know there are a lot of tools out there that do this kind of thing, but once again, I'll mention that Google is a very familiar environment for most students. And in the writing process, especially early, you don't want to be blindsided by dealing with add-ons that are too complicated when you're dealing with organization. So MindMeister is pretty good for that. So it's the add-on that's in here. Like I loaded it up already, and if you load it, it tells you you need to select items. So I'm going to select all of this right here. And you can see right up here the thesis is here, and everything sort of tagged major and minor points, but isn't really fleshed out. And I'm going to insert this as a mind map. And it's going to do something very clever, which I have already done. See how it sort of put the whole, it took the whole outline and turned it into a visual map. So here's a better look at it down at the bottom. And when you get it, it'll be a little bit small, so you have to sort of fool around with it and figure out how it works. If you click on it, you get some instructions down here. You want to make sure you wrap the text so you can move it around. And of course, you can make it bigger, and you can Control+ the heck out of it until it gets to the size that you are able to see. Now, working with it is great. You want to put your simple outline in another tab so you can see it. go back and forth, and look how the thesis has been put here, smack dab in the middle. It's very simple. It's, you know, it's sort of black and white and blue. And the major points sprout off the thesis, which they always should, and the minor points sprout off the major points. And visually, that's really important to see when a writer in the early stages is trying to organize his or her thoughts and start to get the paper written. So MindMeister does a really good job of that. And it's not a very customizable feature, but that's not what our students use it for at this stage. Like I said, they really just sort of use it to get a good handle on what their ideas look like and if they are sort of relating correctly to the thesis. Now, here's another outline that's a little bit more complicated. The student has a pretty clear thesis and major and minor points already written out. And so here's what MindMeister has done to that. I left it at the top for you. Now look at how much bigger, of course, the map has gotten as a reflection of the clarity that the student now has in his outline. And once again, you can see the thesis smack dab in the middle and all the spider webs coming off of the thesis broken down into major and minor points with letter A, B, C, and D. And so, you know, again, I'll say that it's really sort of important that you use these kinds of tools for the goal that you have. And this goal, particularly for MindMeister, is to have a visual map of what your outline is and where you're going with your outline, and if your points are relevant to the topic. And you know, before you guys ask me, MindMeister is a free add-on. It's very simple and very clear, but you'll be given sort of an option to upgrade. So there's an advanced version of MindMeister that you have to pay for, and I think students get a discount for it, but I have it here actually. So let's see if I can let you see it. It's here, and this is the free version of it. Can you see it? It's got a atom-looking thing going.
Yep, we can see the atom, and it appears to be loading. Yep, it's loading.
All right. So the upgraded version allows you to get all fancy with this. And I did one. It allows you, I think, maybe 3. And I did one with the same material. And, of course, if you look over here, you get all these fancy options for colors and fonts. And you can insert web links and things like that. And it's really, really sort of pretty good. But, of course, this has a price. But for the purposes of early, writing, you really sort of just need something very simple like MindMeister. And it's not about customization for this tool. Like I said, it's sort of about having a good visual map that you can work with. And students really like that simplicity.
Yeah, excellent. That sounds great. I could really see how that would be really very useful. Definitely.
So hey, Heidi and Desiree, I just want to let you know we're down to about 6 minutes or so left in the broadcast, but it's been going great, and thanks for sharing that, Desiree.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So anybody who's watching, now would be a great time to send in your questions. And before I'm cuddling in on Heidi here, I know she's going to talk about one more thing. But I just want to remind the viewership out there to send in questions. I see at the moment we've got 14 viewers, and we'd love to hear some questions. So back to you, Heidi.
Yeah, great. So here we go. So just sort of a a recap on. Sorry, I didn't get this ahead of time here. Yep, we did all that already. We did all that. So just a recap. To find your menu items, you look in the menu bar for add-ons. And I know one question you might have if you are looking at an older Google Sheet, perhaps you created before March of 2014, you may not see the add-on in the menu, and that's because it's an old sheet. So you have to update that Google Sheet in order to see that add-on menu bar. A couple of different ways you can do that. You can copy the content and paste it into a new document. You can download the document and then upload the document. Or you can duplicate a sheet tab into a new sheet. So anyway, there's options for that, and I have a resource listed at the end of the presentation.
Oh, great, because Heidi, I was going to say we do have a question that came in, which is basically, is there a place, a nice central locality that we might find a curated collection of such add-ons that we could look through, maybe with a higher ed focus, and maybe that's what the reference at the end of your presentation points us to?
Yeah. Actually, if you go to add-ons, there's a link to find add-ons, and that's where it's separated out by business, education, productivity, utility, and so that will have a collection of all the add-ons based on the category. And
that sounds great.
Yeah. So this is a view, and this is a screenshot, so it is showing all. But if I were to click on that, I could get my filter system. And this slide is actually taken from the Google Sheets, so it's specifically to Sheets. Not all of the add-ons are available for Google Docs and Google Sheets. There's spreadsheets and documents, so there's some that have better functionality. But there are some things like the workflows that you can use in both documents. When you're looking for add-ons, there'll be a brief description, plus there's a rating system, and viewers and users are encouraged to add comments. So because these are developed by independent people, they're not Google developed. They're created by independents. In fact, that super quiz was a teacher that had some skills in Excel and scripting. Because these are by independents, you want to make sure you're reading through the ratings. And if you try one and it doesn't work, I really encourage you as an educator, to go back in and share your viewpoint of the application, because that's how we all learn and make our decisions based on ratings. So rate your add-ons and add your comments. I found a couple add-ons that didn't work for me, so I rated them very lowly and made a comment. When you have your add-ons in your document or spreadsheet, you do have recurring information that can kind of help you manage those. They all have how to use it in this document, and a lot of the add-ons will take you out to supports documentation to show you how you can use it. Again, with the help, also gives you more information about how to get help and maybe some tutorials. Reporting an issue for those developers that are, that want to make the best product available. There's usually a direct link to getting, making a comment back to the developer. And if you find you don't use an add-on, you load it up and it doesn't work like you thought it would, go ahead and remove it, clean it up. So it doesn't bog you down, and you can select another add-on that you use better. I do have some, so one thing, you might, as a developer, want to create an add-on. And so here's the website for that, and it's an open source community, so creating add-ons might be beneficial. You might have a great idea for one. We have resources listed here, and this is also on the I Teach You page. And I would like to definitely thank Desiree and Shelley for helping me with this presentation. And make sure you check out iTeachU at uaf.edu for all the resources, the teaching tip based on Google Add-ons, as well as other resources on Google and teaching and learning, sponsored by UAF eLearning.
Great, thank you very much, Heidi. And we had a late coming question that came in, but I think I'll try my hand at answering this one and see how I do. So the question was, are these add-ons limited to Google Docs? And I believe the answer would be yes, these are Google Doc app add-ons. Is that correct? Google app add-ons.
Well, Google Docs or Google Sheets.
Google Sheets. Okay, Google Docs or Google Sheets. These are a bunch of add-ons for those two tools. So I also would like to thank Heidi Olson, Desiree Simons, and Shelley Bauman for their time today and for their insights with regard to some pretty neat and powerful tools that are available to us. And thank everyone for showing up and asking questions. I really appreciate that. So the UAF eLearning design team will host the next Teaching Tip Live on November 13th at 1 p.m. Our very own Janine McMahon will be up, and she will be presenting on service learning. From UAF eLearning and Distance Education, we thank you again, and we'll see you next time. I'm going to stop.